our disposition towards people and how we live our lives on an individual level have to encompass everything and everyone that we're interacting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sight in mind. That means that there are people around us that have rights upon us, and there are people that are distant from us that have rights upon us. And we try to harmonize those rights while keeping in mind the ultimate right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon us. So there are times I don't feel like playing with my kids because I just saw someone holding their daughter in Gaza, and I almost feel like I don't have the right to do this. But then I would be wronging them by checking out on my own kids, right? So I have to put on a brave face for my own kids while still thinking about that man that I just saw that was holding his daughter while I'm holding my own daughter, and realizing, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask me about her, and Allah azza wa jalla will ask me about her. And there are certain ways that I have to conduct my life to where I'm harmonizing all of that. So I'd say that, sometimes like the pendulum, swings in a certain way to where we need to pull people back. Look, right now, we have to be including the people of Gaza in all of our thoughts, and we have to be considering how our smallest actions affect them, or our lack of actions affect them. And we shouldn't feel like there's too much of a price to pay. Like we were having a conversation, we're in the US, and Amazon is complicit in the genocide, right? Everyone lives off of their Amazon Prime here. So as a family, we're like, how do we actually stop using Amazon now, right? How do we make sure we've canceled all of our Microsoft products? How we should not have this when we're going to the store and we're checking to see if something is on the boycott list or not. Like, oh man, this is on the boycott list too. What does that even mean? There has to be an element to where this is second nature, and we actively want to make sure that we are rejecting this. We're doing inkar of it. We're hating this, and we're rejecting it as much as we possibly can. And not being complacent with any element of our lives that potentially harms them. So our tax dollars in the US are being used to kill them. We're in the belly of Fir'aun, right? We would hope to be mu'min al Fir'aun right now, the believer in the house of Fir'aun. And sometimes you don't know if America, Israel, or Fir'aun and Haman, who's Fir'aun and who's Haman. But at the end of the day, this is complicity. It's not complacency, it's complicity. So fighting the way our tax dollars are being used as much as we can, doing inkar of it with every single bit of our being, looking towards, on the economics level, for example, all these halal portfolios, all these companies that invest in halal, you're not just trying to stay away from riba here. You better be trying to stay away from genocide too. If you're investing in a company that's complicit in the genocide, that to me is, just as severe as if you're investing in a company that is a ribawi company, right? Or an alcohol or a gambling company. What's the difference between gambling and genocide, right? So we have to rethink portfolios and the way that our companies, our own Muslim companies and industries work, right? We have to come to our community and we have to connect every form of communal life to their communal life. And so yes, extravagance is especially offensive now, though it's always offensive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it's especially offensive right now. And so when I gave the khutbah about, food and in a moment of genocide, that's what I was talking about. That look, if the Sahaba, if Abdurrahman ibn Auf radiallahu ta'ala anhu was eating his food years later, after Mus'ab radiallahu ta'ala anhu was martyred in Uhud, years later, decades later, and he starts to cry, and he says, Mus'ab was killed and Mus'ab was better than me. Mus'ab didn't get to eat this type of food. He didn't get to live this type of comfort. What do we do when in the same moment that we're eating our food, you're watching a screen and you're seeing the rib cages of people in starvation? It's very uncomfortable. We should be uncomfortable right now. In fact, it's part of Iman to be uncomfortable. If we're not uncomfortable, there's a weakness in our Iman. And that discomfort should show in everything that we're doing. That, look, at the end of the day, Allah Azza wa Jal commands us to be. He commands us to exist. He commands us to do certain things despite our pain. But the hadith that came to mind, I know that this is very long-winded, so I apologize. You probably have a lot more questions. When the Prophet ﷺ saw Israfil alayhi salam, and he had his lips puckered, right? Ready to blow. And with that blow, death comes to everyone. The words of the Prophet ﷺ were, Kayfa an'um. How can I have an appetite for this world? How can I find happiness anymore after I've seen Israfil staring at the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, waiting for the command to blow? Like, Kayfa an'um. And over and over and over again, like sometimes I'm sitting with myself and I go, Kayfa an'um. I just don't enjoy anything anymore. I truly don't. Like, I don't enjoy anything anymore. But I have to almost like lean into, all right, my family has rights upon me. I still have to smile at this person. I still have to put on a face to do this. But Allah will ask me about what's in here, and Allah will ask me about my thoughts, and Allah will ask me about my actions. And we have to be ready, just like on a personal level where we simulate what it will be like to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the Day of Judgment. You know what I think about now? I think about the courtroom. I think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resurrecting me. And if Anas al-Sharif rahimahullah walks up and Allah says, what did you do with him? What did you do for these people? Do I have the answer? What do I say? So the courtroom that I envision on the Day of Judgment has changed because it just includes, like, I think about right away that courtroom, and I think about who the witnesses are, who the testimony is. You know, it's like, subhanAllah, I never met Anas. Like, we just communicate. I never met so many of these people. We never met them, but we feel attached to them in so many different ways. And everyone that you interact with in this world is a part of your story, and so they're a part of your afterlife as well. They're the shuhada of Allah on this earth. So they're shuhada inda Allah, they're shuhada with Allah, but they're also the shuhada of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're going to be asked about us, and we're going to be asked about them. And, you know, I pray that we have a sufficient answer, but no one of us, just like we shouldn't feel comfortable with our interview with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in regards to our own ibadat. We shouldn't feel like, oh, you know, I'm protesting, I'm boycotting, and I'm not drinking Coke, so I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be more than that.